ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान्मृत्युर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान्मृत्युर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान्मृत्युर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। Om. We worship and adore you, O Three-Eyed One, O Shiva. You are sweet gladness, the fragrance of life, who nourishes us, restores our health, and causes us to thrive. As in due time the stem of the cucumber weakens, and the gourd is freed from the vine, so free us from attachment and death, and do not withhold immortality. Om Bang me manasi pratisthita मनो मे वाची प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य म आणीस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासि अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। Om. May my speech be accorded with the mind. May my mind be accorded with the speech. O self-effulgent one Brahman, reveal thyself to me. May you both, speech and mind, be the carriers of the highest truth to me. May not all that I have heard depart from me. May I be able to join day and night through the study. I shall utter what is verbally true. I shall utter what is mentally true. May that Brahman protect me. May that Brahman protect the teacher. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace. Peace be unto you all. Om Do Shantir Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shantir Apas Shantir Oshadhaya Shantihi Vanaspataya Shantir Vishwe Deva Shantir Brahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantiredhi. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Om. May peace expand in celestial realm and throughout space. May peace spread over the entire earth and pervade the waters. May peace glow in all herbs and vegetation. May there be peace for all the deities and gods. May there be peace in Brahman, the Absolute. May there be peace everywhere and always. Peace and nothing but peace. May peace grow within us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto you all. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I think it is especially important and relevant to talk about loneliness in unprecedented present and challenging period in which we are passing through globally. We are forced to confine, shelter in place. Outdoor activities are almost completely stopped, except for our work from home. We are spending most of our time to social media, TV, or giving more time to pets, communicating with all our friends and acquaintances over telephone, or cooking multiple dishes. These we do mainly to add newer and newer object of our interest in our list. In short, we are trying to keep ourselves utmost busy in the restricted variety, but still sometimes we feel lonely. Loneliness does not depend on how many people surround me. The whole day long they are with me, nor it depends on how much I keep myself busy, nor it depends on our amount of pleasure in a day, but it depends on the level of our alienation or isolation or detachment or difference. A person who lives in solitude has courage because he can face isolation, he can face loneliness. But those who are living in the society, in the midst of family and friends, they are afraid to living in isolation. In the midst of all, they are alienated. And alienation gives birth of fear. Let us take the example of Madame Calvé. Madame Emma Calvé was an incredibly famous young French opera singer. She was equally famous in Europe and America. She was extrovert, snobbish, and proud of her fame, beauty, and richness. Probably it was 1894. Swami Vivekananda was in Chicago after his famous lecture in Parliament of Religions. Emma, 36, happened to be there on account of a contract with Metropolitan Opera Company. One evening, Emma, during her performance in the opera, suddenly felt a stage fear and anxiety that was almost unknown to her. It was difficult for this talented artist to perform effectively. She almost backed twice during each break. But the organizers persuaded her to carry on. Ultimately, somehow, she could finish her show in a grand fashion. After the rousing exit, while clapping was still in her ears, she ran to her apartment to be told that her beloved only daughter was no more. She had died due to burns while Madame Calvé was performing her act. Madame Calvé fainted. How could she live now? Her success lost its charm for her in such a grim tragedy. Gradually, she became isolated, depressed, and extremely lonely. Thrice, she attempted suicide out of grief and depression. After her third attempt, one of her friends practically dragged her to Swami Vivekananda's living room. Swamiji, 31, became famous in Chicago by the time for his historical lecture in the Parliament of Religions. After sitting a while there, Emma heard a baritone voice from the next room. "Come, my child, don't be afraid." Emma wrote afterwards, I quote, "It has been my good fortune and my joy to know a man who truly walked with God, a noble being, a saint, a philosopher, and a true friend. His influence on my spiritual life was profound." Unquote. Swamiji, as it were, read her as in an open book. My intention is not to narrate the life of Emma Calvé. I would like to bring to your notice from Emma Calvé's life the fact that money, fame, beauty cannot suppress depression, loneliness, or fear. Please think carefully that when we could go out before this pandemic, we had tried to forget our loneliness consciously or unconsciously by constantly changing our object of interest. Now, because of this shelter in place, restricted time, we cannot move from one object of interest to another object of interest. It is not that before this pandemic we were not lonely. We were lonely. But as we had number of opportunities to move from one object of interest to another object of interest, we forgot ourselves. To avoid this loneliness, we always try to move from one object of interest to another object of interest. But it is not the solution. I can refer a couple of names of famous film artists who had committed suicide because of either loneliness or fear or depression. It proves that external pomp and glitter may involve or engross us for a certain period of time, but it never remove our loneliness or depression permanently. If we ask you, why do you work? The obvious answer is to earn livelihood, which simply means to earn money. But if we think very carefully, do you work to earn money? We can understand, if we think a little bit carefully, that it is not money, it is joy and peace that we want. We buy joy and peace against that work, that money. Our work is not giving us joy and peace. Rather, it generates stress, agony, and pain. Hence, we go hiking, biking, rafting, camping, go for 7 days in a cruise. So we do all of these kind of sorts to get joy and peace. But we do not consider this biking or hiking or rafting or camping or going to cruise is a work. Whatever might have been it tough or rough, we never consider this is a work. We call it hobby. We call it relaxation or pastime. On the other hand, we consider our job in the workplace is exhausting, strenuous. Why does it happen? It happens because we do not regard our job in workplace is our own thing. It is connected with us. Whereas we regard our hobby, how much strenuous it might be, as our own, as our part of life, as the expression of our self. Joy and peace are inherent in our soul. Work will enable us to get this joy only when work becomes the expression of our self. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna advised this kind of work. The work which can bring for us joy, peace, because that work is the expression of our self. Work, if we do for the expression of self, that will bring for us peace and joy. Our work, and if we sell our body and mind to others, it became isolated, detached from ourself. And that's why this estrangement from one's soul, our body and mind and work, cannot give us joy and peace. This estrangement of our body and mind from the soul is called alienation or self-alienation. We feel loneliness because we are alienated. To get rid of this loneliness, we would be de-alienated. Let us see how this alienation is the cause of our loneliness. Before that, a little bit history of alienation. We find the use of alienation in Christian doctrines of sin and expulsion of Adam and Eve from Eden, from divine state to the fallen state, alienated. We find again the use of alienation in Plato's view of imperfect natural world and the sublime perfect world of ideas. Alienation. But the concept of alienation was first philosophically established by Hegel, and further it was developed by Feuerbach and Karl Marx. In the second stage, we find the concept of alienation was used psychologically by Freud and Jung, although they did not call it alienation, they used the term conflict. Hegel and Marx, although Hegel and Marx used the term alienation, Hegel and Marx studied alienation as a historical and physical phenomenon and applied it socially. Freud and Jung studied this phenomenon psychologically and applied on the person. Vedanta studied alienation ontologically and applied it on the human being. There are three main forms of alienation. The first is self-alienation. Vedanta worked in this field. Second is economic alienation. Obviously, Karl Marx worked in this field. And third is social alienation. Freud and Jung worked in this field. We shall discuss loneliness, which is under ontological or spiritual alienation, self-alienation. There are again three main forms of alienation, self-alienation. One is spiritual alienation. Second is existential alienation. And third is psychological alienation. The first is spiritual alienation. This is the alienation, means detachment, isolation, part, differences. This is the alienation of Jivatman from Paramatman. This is the first level of alienation, which Vedanta termed it spiritual alienation. Second is, and by yoga we can be de-alienated. Yoga is the way by which we can de-alienate it. Second is existential alienation. This is the alienation of ego from Jivatman. This refers to certain problems such as loneliness, meaninglessness, which arise not from the external cause, but from the alienated nature of human existence. We shall focus on this alienation, existential alienation, which is the alienation of our ego from our own self. Then the psychological alienation. This is the alienation of conscious from unconscious, or this is the alienation of our ego from id. Freud and Jung worked in this field. It causes people's wrong response to the external event. There are many people, they cannot define their role. As a result, they react wrongly to the external event. So in that case, we have to understand that is the alienation, that is the result of alienation, psychological alienation. That means the alienation from conscious to unconscious. The unconscious is the storehouse of both good and bad samaskaras, and also the powerhouse of psychic energy. In Naive community, in tribal community, this alienation problem of conscious and unconscious is not in vogue. It is in the sophisticated civilized society, owing to childhood trauma sometimes, or adolescent fear or guilt, suppressed our channel of communication between conscious and unconscious. As a result, our ego gets completely isolated from unconscious and develops some kind of hatred, fear towards the unconscious. And obviously, in turn, there will be anxiety and feeling of insecurity. In this stage, there are two types of effects. One, we become completely isolated and we build a cocoon surrounding us. And we are happy with that. We withdraw completely from everyone. The second is that we sometimes become very selfish. The other part of it is that some people, to forget their unconscious, they jump into the larger population, larger people, friends, and everybody, and they show a pseudo-selflessness. In Western psychology, this particular symptom is called alienation. So from psychological alienation, two things crop up. Number one, sometimes people who are having this psychological alienation, sometimes they become isolated from the larger whole, or they become selfish. On other side, they become pseudo-selfless. They are trying to help everybody, go and jump and mix with everybody, just to forget their unconscious. All this psychological alienation, definitely it is not spiritual alienation. It can be removed psychologically or by integrating our psychological personality. In 3 levels, we can do it. Number 1, transformation of unconscious. Number 2, connecting unconscious with conscious and transform our conscious to the superconscious. I am not going in detail to this because loneliness doesn't fall under this category. Loneliness comes under existential alienation. And this is the alienation of ego from our own self. When ego is alienated from our own self, this alienation, the cause of this alienation, we find the effect loneliness. Arjuna had the existential alienation. Suddenly at the battlefield, he felt lonely and scary. That's why he did not want to participate in the battle. He thought in first chapter, in one verse he said that if he killed his kinsmen, then with whom he could administer the kingdom, with whom he would live. Existentially, he felt lonely. Then what is the suggestion Sri Krishna gave him to get rid of this existential alienation? Sri Krishna suggested Buddhi Yoga as a solution. In second chapter, he described Buddhi Yoga. In 10th chapter, he said, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So I am bestowing you this Buddhi Yoga. What is Buddhi Yoga? I think those who have attended Gita class, perhaps they might have remembered. It is spiritual integration to eliminate existential fear. Buddhi Yoga is a stage described in Bhagavad Gita when ego is identified with self or Pratyagatman. Or it is the awakening of Pratyagatman. Thus, alienation removed. Gita also suggested karma and jnana samuchaya, the integration of work based on knowledge. It will then take the charge of whole inner life and effect an all-round integration. It is the spiritual integration of personality. This is what the Gita termed Buddhi Yoga. It eliminates self-hatred, and in the absence of self-hate, existential hate disappears. Consequently, the problem of loneliness removed. Buddhi Yoga is excellent psychic chemistry. Three things, if we study in a deeper way, we can understand. Sri Krishna suggested three things: emotion, reason, and will. He suggested us to make our inner system in such a way that it will become a kind of system by applying reason, will, and emotion. Emotion and desire, it actually sets the motivation, and will fixed it, one-pointed it, and then reason will guide it. So it is a combination of these three things. So work, and then only work can express ourself, and then joy and peace will come. Any kind of system which can express ourself, that work will bring for us joy and peace. So Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita suggested that this combination, reason, will, and emotion, bhakti, knowledge, and yoga, this combination makes a wonderful instrument of human development and takes us to the equanimity of mind, balanced mind, equilibrium mind. And then we can get rid of this loneliness. So this is the approach of Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna suggested Arjuna, the even-mindedness. And we can get even-mindedness by applying Buddhi Yoga. Second is the devotional path. Naradiya Bhakti Sutra suggested to get rid of this loneliness through Mukhya Bhakti. We know there are three types of bhakti. One is Gauna Bhakti, which is inferior kind of bhakti. Second is Mukhya Bhakti. It is superior to Gauna Bhakti. And the highest is the Para Bhakti. So Mukhya Bhakti has been prescribed to get rid of loneliness. What is Mukhya Bhakti? In Bhagavad Gita, we find 4 types of people: Artha, Artharthi, Jigyashu, and Jnani. So, out of these people, Artha, those who are praying for God, this Artha, generally we pray for God when we are in trouble. But here in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, these people, when they feel helpless, they pray God, to interact with God. So, like Prapatti, Sharanagati, surrender, complete surrender. So these Artha people can attain Mukhya Bhakti. Again, the intensity of their prayer, the intensity of their surrender depends upon 3 characteristics: Sattva, Tamas, and Rajas. If they are Tamas, their intensity will be very clouded, shadowed. Rajas, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that who have this kind of Rajas bhakti, so that is a kind of robbery. They jump into it and force it to get that bhakti. But Swattva, generally these Artha people, those who are asking, praying for God, these people are Artha in Bhagavad Gita. And these people are Swattik people. So Swatta dominant people can Artha and they pray for God. They get the Mukhya Bhakti. So this is the second approach through Bhakti path to get rid of loneliness. And in Naradiya Bhakti Sutra, in verse number 57, Narada showed that what is the characteristics of these devotee who are practicing Mukhya Bhakti. I would refer few terms. You can understand what kind of bhakti we have to develop to attain the Mukhya Bhakti and get rid of loneliness. He said that they have one-pointed love. Number 1, one-pointed love. When they converse, their throat is choked. They have tearful eyes and their body is thrilled by the impact of bhakti. So like that, they are so excited, so emotional that their tears burst from the eyes and they tremble. They not only purify their family, but also they purify their birthplace. So they are so highly attained. So they not only purify their family will be purified if they attain Mukkha Bhakti. Their birthplace also will be purified. Where they live and perform their spiritual practice, that place becomes pilgrimage. You know, we sometimes visit birthplace of great people as a pilgrimage. So their birthplace becomes pilgrimage. They feel with God. They are beyond caste, creed and religion. They belong to God alone. This is the litmus test. They belong to God alone. Swatika people practice this level of bhakti. So this is the second approach, Mukhya Bhakti, to observe, to practice Mukhya Bhakti. The first approach is Buddhi Yoga according to Bhagavad Gita. The third approach is Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Patanjali said Asmita. Asmita is one of the kleshas. There are 5 kleshas. Asmita is one of the kleshas. At this level, existential alienation takes place. Yoga Sutra suggested to remove Asmita, we have to practice austerity and continuation of dispassion along with intense meditation. So, dispassion, austerity and intense meditation. It is the prescription of Patanjali to get rid of alienation or loneliness. So, loneliness is the effect of existential alienation. Existential alienation means the alienation of our ego from our inner self. And no medicine can help to get rid of this loneliness. Existential problem can be removed by spirituality, intense logical spirituality, jnana and bhakti. That is the only way we can remove our existential problem. Psychological problem we can remove in different ways. Freud, Jung, they have prescribed, and if you go through in different lectures, TED Talks about loneliness, you can find that psychological loneliness they try to remove. But existential loneliness, it is very difficult. Unless we will spiritual, we cannot remove this. So this is some kind of awakening. So this is very important. So we have to train our mind in this way. And I have suggested 3 options. Number 1, Buddhi Yoga according to Bhagavad Gita, selfless work, Karma Yoga, starting with Karma Yoga, selfless work with Buddhi Yoga, emotion, reason and will. So Buddhi Yoga. Then, and finally, the attainment of equanimity of mind. So that is the Bhagavad Gita prescription. Second prescription is devotional path, Mukhya Bhakti. So try to attain Mukhya Bhakti. And the third one, according to Yoga Sutra, the Ritambhara Prajna, we have to maintain the Ritambhara Prajna or the Pragyaloka. It is a shining light. So that we have to maintain by 3 things: austerity, dispassion and intense meditation. So these things we have to practice. So we have to start. Then we can find that things are falling in place. Without practice, without starting, nothing could be done. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkham Apnuat Sarvastarotu Durgani Sarvo Bhadrani Pashyatu Sarva Sadbuddhim Apnotu Sarva Sarvatranandatu Durjana Sajjano Bhuyat Sajjana Shantim Apnuat Shantamucchete Bandhebhyo Muktaschanyan Vimochayet. May all be happy. May all enjoy good health. May all see happy events. May all be freed from miseries. May all be freed from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous attain tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bondages. May the freed make others free. May the Supreme Spirit, the presiding deity of all sacred activities, be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe feels satisfied. Peace, peace, peace be unto you all. We have few announcements. We will have summer recess from 1st August to 27th September. That means we don't have any Sunday lecture till 27th September. So 27th September will be our next Sunday lecture. Secondly, we will have a retreat. Generally, every year we do a meditation camp at our San Jose Center. But this year, because of this situation, we are going to do a retreat, online retreat, on August 15th and 16th, Saturday and Sunday. 2 days retreat, online retreat, on developing spiritual outlook, or how to develop the spiritual outlook. On this, we shall do the retreat on 15th and 16th. You will get the announcement in our next bulletin. There will be the direction and you have to fill the form. So there will be some process and all the guidelines will be available in our next bulletin. So 15th and 16th, retreat on developing spiritual outlook. The third thing is that we may conduct some special classes, some special classes by Zoom after this retreat. That will be announced later. Although it is a summer recess, but as we are confined in our home, so there will be no Sunday lecture till 27 September, but there may be some Zoom classes in between that will be announced in the bulletin. And there will be a retreat 15th and 16th on developing spiritual outlook. That will also be announced in the bulletin, and there will be a form. One has to fill up the form to attend this retreat. Thank you. Take care to stay safe. Namaste.